How to have a fruitful and constructive conversation, fundamental elements, and practical strategies. Conversations are the cornerstone of human connection, enabling the exchange of ideas, emotions, and perspectives. A fruitful and constructive conversation fosters mutual understanding, builds trust, and often leads to meaningful outcomes, whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or public discourse. However, achieving such conversations requires intention, skill, and an understanding of the fundamental elements that underpin effective communication.
This video explores these elements: active listening, empathy, clarity, respect, and adaptability, with a particular focus on knowing when to pause and let the other party speak, offering practical strategies, examples, and resources to guide individuals toward mastering constructive dialogue. Introduction: the importance of constructive conversations. In an era marked by polarization, misinformation, and rapid technological change, the ability to engage in fruitful conversations is more critical than ever. Constructive dialogue bridges divides, resolves conflicts, and cultivates collaboration. Whether discussing a workplace project, navigating a family disagreement, or debating societal issues, the quality of our conversations shapes the outcomes. A fruitful conversation is a dynamic process that respects differences, encourages growth, and builds stronger relationships. This essay outlines the fundamental elements of such conversations, emphasizing the importance of strategic pausing to ensure mutual engagement.
Fundamental elements of a fruitful and constructive conversation. 1. Active listening, the foundation of understanding. Active listening is the bedrock of any meaningful conversation. It involves fully concentrating on the speaker, understanding their message, and responding thoughtfully. Unlike passive hearing, active listening requires engagement with both verbal and nonverbal cues, such as tone, body language, and facial expressions. A critical aspect of active listening is knowing when to pause as the speaker to allow the other party to contribute, ensuring a balanced exchange. Key practices for active listening: give full attention, eliminate distractions, such as phones or background noise, and maintain eye contact to signal engagement. Reflect and paraphrase. Restate the speaker's main points to confirm understanding, e.g., "So, what you're saying is that you feel overwhelmed by the project timeline?" Ask clarifying questions. Seek to understand rather than assume, e.g., "Can you elaborate on what you mean by insufficient support?" Avoid interrupting. Allow the speaker to complete their thoughts before responding. Knowing when to pause and let the other party speak. As the speaking party, strategic pausing is essential to invite input and maintain a two-way conversation. Pausing allows the listener to process information, formulate responses, and feel valued in the dialogue. The speaking party should pause. After completing a key point, once you've conveyed a main idea or argument, pause to give the other party a chance to respond or ask questions. For example, after explaining a project proposal, say, "I'd love to hear your thoughts on this approach." When noticing nonverbal cues, if the listener shows signs of wanting to speak, such as leaning forward, nodding vigorously, or opening their mouth, pause to yield the floor. For instance, in a heated discussion, if the other party appears eager to interject, stop and say, "It looks like you have something to add. What's on your mind?" During natural transitions, after asking a question or at the end of a thought, pause to allow the other party to take the lead. For example, after saying, "I think we should prioritize this task. What do you think?" Wait silently for their response. To encourage reflection in emotionally charged or complex discussions, pause after sharing a sensitive point to allow the other party to process and respond thoughtfully. For example, in a family conversation about a difficult decision, pause after saying, "I'm worried about how this will affect everyone," to give others space to share their feelings. Example, in a workplace meeting, an employee explains their concerns about a project deadline. The manager listens attentively, then shares their perspective on resource allocation, but pauses after saying, "Here's how I see us moving forward. What are your thoughts?" This pause invites the employee to contribute, fostering collaboration.
2. Empathy. Building emotional connection. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. In conversations, empathy creates a safe space for vulnerability and fosters mutual respect. It involves recognizing the speaker's emotions and perspectives, even if they differ from your own. Key practices for empathetic communication: acknowledge emotions, validate the speaker's feelings, e.g., "I can see how frustrating that must be for you." Suspend judgment, Avoid dismissing or criticizing the speaker's perspective, even if you disagree. Share relatable experiences. When appropriate, share a similar experience to show solidarity, but avoid shifting the focus to yourself. Use empathetic language. Phrases like, I understand how you feel, or that sounds really challenging, demonstrate care. Example, during a family discussion about a teenager's academic struggles, a parent says, I can imagine how stressful it feels to juggle all these assignments. I remember feeling overwhelmed in school too. After sharing this, they pause to let the teenager respond, creating space for a deeper dialogue.
3. Clarity, ensuring effective communication. Clarity ensures that your message is easily understood, reducing the risk of miscommunication. It involves choosing precise words, organizing thoughts logically, and tailoring your communication style to the audience. Key practices for clarity: be concise, avoid unnecessary jargon or lengthy explanations. For example, instead of saying, we need to leverage synergies to optimize our workflow, say, let's work together to streamline our process. Structure your thoughts. Present ideas in a logical order using frameworks like problem solution or cause effect. Check for understanding. Ask the listener if your message is clear, e.g., does that make sense or should I explain it differently? Then pause to allow their response. Adapt to the audience. Adjust your tone and vocabulary based on the listener's background and context. Example, in a technical presentation, a software engineer explains a complex algorithm to non-technical stakeholders using simple analogies like comparing the algorithm to a recipe. After explaining, they pause and ask, is this analogy helpful or should I clarify anything? Inviting feedback.
4. Respect, creating a safe and inclusive environment. Respect is essential for maintaining a constructive tone, especially in conversations involving differing opinions or sensitive topics. It involves valuing the other person's dignity, perspectives, and right to speak. Key practices for respectful communication: use inclusive language. Avoid terms that might offend or exclude, such as stereotypes or assumptions about gender, race, or culture. Disagree constructively. Express disagreement without personal attacks, e.g., I see your point, but I have a different perspective, because honor boundaries, respect the speaker's comfort level, and avoid pushing them to discuss topics they're not ready to address. Acknowledge contributions. Thank the speaker for sharing their thoughts, even if you disagree, and pause to let them elaborate if desired. Example, in a community debate about a new policy, a participant disagrees respectfully, saying, I appreciate your perspective on the economic benefits. I'm concerned about the environmental impact, though. They pause to allow the other party to respond, maintaining a respectful tone.
5. Adaptability. Navigating dynamic conversations. Conversations are dynamic, and adaptability allows you to respond to unexpected shifts in tone, topic, or emotion. Knowing when to pause is a key component of adaptability, as it enables you to read the room and create space for the other party's input. Key practices for adaptability: stay attentive to cues, notice changes in the speaker's tone or body language, and adjust your response, pausing if they seem eager to speak. Be open to feedback. If the listener seems confused or disengaged, ask, "Am I addressing your concerns, or is there another angle we should explore?" And pause for their response. Pivot when necessary. If the conversation veers off topic, gently guide it back or explore the new direction if it's productive, pausing to check in with the other party. Embrace silence. Allow pauses for reflection, especially after significant points, to encourage deeper insights. Example, during a negotiation, one party becomes visibly frustrated. The speaker notices this, pauses, and says, "It seems like this point is really important to you. Can we explore why?" This pause and adaptive question de-escalates tension and fosters collaboration.
Practical strategies for implementation. To integrate these elements, including strategic pausing, into everyday conversations, consider the following strategies: prepare for important conversations, clarify your goals, and anticipate when to pause to invite the other party's input. Practice reflective listening. Reflect on whether you paused effectively to allow the other party to speak, asking, "Did I give them enough space to contribute?" Seek feedback. Ask peers to observe your pausing habits and provide feedback on turn-taking. Engage in role-playing. Practice pausing at key moments during mock conversations to build confidence. Use technology wisely. In virtual settings, pause after key points to account for delays and ensure the other party has a chance to respond. Real-world examples. Workplace scenario: resolving team conflict. A project team is divided over resource allocation. The team leader shares their plan, pauses after each major point, and asks, "Does anyone have thoughts on this?" This pausing strategy ensures all team members feel heard, leading to a collaborative solution.
Personal scenario: navigating a family disagreement. During a family discussion about holiday plans, a member explains their constraints and pauses, saying, "I'd like to hear what everyone else thinks." This pause encourages others to share, transforming a potential argument into a cooperative decision. Public discourse, community engagement. In a town hall